Inshallah, starting from tomorrow, Salat al-Fajr will be at 6:30 a.m. Salat al-Fajr will be at 6:30 a.m. Inshallah. Guys playing soccer in the back, come over here and sit down for 5 minutes. The guys playing soccer in the back, y'all hear me? Come back over here and sit down for 5 minutes, inshallah. Thank you. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد قال المصنف رحمه الله تعالى في باب صلة الرحم. Yahya ibn Sharaf al-Nawawi says in his book entitled Riyadh al-Salihin, titled The Gardens of the Righteous, in the chapter of benevolence to the parents and being good to the relatives. No. عن أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه أن رجلا أتاه قال إن لي امرأة وإن أمي تأمرني بطلاقها فقال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول الوالد أوسط أبواب الجنة فإن شئت فأضع ذلك الباب أو احفظه. Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that a man came to me and said, I have a wife whom my mother commands me to divorce. I replied to him that I heard the Prophet ﷺ say, a parent is the best of the gates of paradise. So if you wish, keep the gate or lose it. This hadith is on Tirmidhi on the virtue of joining the ties of relationship, and Ahmad in his Musnad. And Al-Bara bin Azib, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that I heard the Prophet ﷺ say, a mother's sister is equivalent to the real mother. Al-Khalatu bi manzilatil ummi. And that hadith is on a Tirmidhi in joining the ties of the relationship. So this hadith can be controversial for some, being that the wife whom his mother commands to divorce, the context is obviously important here. The standard is that if the wife is someone that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is trying her best to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understanding the context of why the mother would order the son to do such a thing. But obviously, if it is a case where the wife and the wife and the mother do not get along, for example, there's a level of incompatibility, then the husband has to be wise. And that's why it's very important in this hadith that it is important for the husband to be wise, number one. And number two, the husband to be wise, but also knowing when to stand up. Knowing when to stand up. For instance, you have to look at the reason why the mother does not like the wife. If it is something that may be tribal, something may be because of the last name, something may be because of the personality, this is where the husband has to be wise and knowing how to deal with both of them. But if it is something to where the mother is not pleased because of the level of deen, the level of her connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she sees that it's bringing her son down and taking him away from being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or grateful to her, this is where the husband has to think and realize that his mother will always be there. His mother will always be there. So we don't say as a standard if the mother comes to him and says, divorce your wife. And then he says, well, I'm divorcing her because my mother said so, but the girl is a very good sister, and he likes the sister, so on and so forth. In this case, the mother may be ordering him to do something that is could be a level of disobedience, right? So in this hadith, it's very important to have it into context and understand when the man came to Abu Darda and said this, it's important to understand the context of it. It is not in all cases to where the husband is commanded to do so. But you notice how the answer was that Abu Darda was relating what the Prophet ﷺ said to him. So this is from the understanding and fiqh of Abu Darda, number one. And number two, Abu Darda probably understands the context of the questioner. The context of the questioner. And that's why I said the Prophet ﷺ said, a parent is the best of gates to paradise. So understanding this, it's important for us to understand that when Imam an-Nawawi uses this hadith, rahimahullah ta'ala, to capitalize on the fact that the parents are the gates of paradise. So if you wish, keep the gates or to lose it. This is also important for us to understand that divorce is not always a bad thing. Divorce can actually be rahmah. It can actually be rahmah on both parties. Because I've seen cases to where, the brother and sister may be compatible for each other. They know that they are compatible, but they know that if they were to continue 51 to 100%, that it would be a nightmare for their children and for the families. It just doesn't work out. One situation, a brother was going to marry a sister, and she was Jewish, and he was Palestinian. And they decided that it wouldn't work out. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. She was Jewish convert. Yeah. So they both decided that it wouldn't work out. And that may be difficult at times, but when you look at the situation, you have to consider the family dynamics. Maybe for you both, but most importantly for the babies. Because it may not work out generations later, especially with this dynamic that I just mentioned, and I think we're all well aware when we mention those two. So again, in this hadith, or in this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, it is important for the person to understand the manzila, the position of the parents, and the wisdom of the parents, but that does not mean that the child just totally follows. They have to understand the context. And when understanding the context of why the parents may make that decision, they have to be wise in doing so. Not just being totally angry at their parents, trying to understand with wisdom and with lutf and with kindness. Because generally, we say generally, that the parents only want what is best for their child. And this chapter of life is one of the biggest chapters of life for the man, for the woman. And the ones that are closely involved in that predominantly are the parents. So this hadith is something that's very important for us to remember, the position of the parents, and that they only want for us good. And that the Prophet ﷺ said, if you wish, they are the gates of paradise. If you wish to keep the gate or to lose it. If you wish, keep the gate by listening to them. And if you do not, then you may lose it. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us sons and daughters that use wisdom when dealing with our parents, that we initially know that want the best for us. And may He make us of those that have courage, wanting to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all situations, whether it is continuing on with the relationship or severing that relationship for the sake of Allah before anyone else. Barakallahu feekum wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.